Thousands of Amazon employees work outside. This intense heat can create dangerous working conditions, but Amazon says it takes protective measures to keep employees and drivers safe.
WIFR reporter Alyssa Kelly talks with Amazon Air Rockford officials about how they handle the heat and keep employees cool.
From driving on the roads to working in a warehouse, Amazon says it uses the best in-class technology to create what they call the safest workplace in the world. Amazon employees work for hours in the heat, ensuring your packages reach your doorstep on time. Leaders at Amazon Air in Rockford say they're prepared to keep their warehouse employees and drivers safe.
So early on in the year, around February, we start planning for our heat mitigation. So we get meetings with the senior leadership at the site, ensure that we have the correct PPE that provide the associates, and what action plans we're going to take based on the temperature reading.
Providing employees with personal protective equipment like cooling socks, insoles, and sleeves is just one of the many ways Amazon works to handle heat mitigation.
The cooling vest.
Every year, Amazon conducts heat mitigation training for the associates, making sure employees are aware of heat illnesses. Amazon Air Rockford site leader Josh Lewandowski says the goal is to make sure associates are cool at all times.
Based on different temperatures, we have different break schedules in which we implement. So when it gets to our highest index, right, like we'll obviously look at, how do we safely operate, or do we need to cease operations? But then when it's not at that point, how do we mitigate risk through regular breaks throughout their actual shift?
At any point in time, the associates understand that if they're not feeling well, that can always escalate to their manager or to safety, and we'll make sure that we treat them in-house.
Amazon is trying out solar reflective paint on its latest custom electric vehicles. This will help keep the entire van cool.
Thank you, Alyssa. And experts say the heat can create poor air quality, so Amazon also monitors the air, providing masks for employees whenever they're needed.